Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She So CraftDee. For today's DIY projects, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite holiday and winter DIYs that you could enjoy from October through the beginning of next year. Now, to make sure you have everything you need, I've included the full supply list and original tutorial links in the description box. Now, to all of my amazing subscribers and visitors, I wanted to say hey, and if you are not a subby yet, what are you waiting for? You'll definitely want to subscribe to see hundreds of fresh and original craft ideas on my channel. So let's get started. Now this project is a large tabletop street lamp. We'll need one large clear scalloped container from the Dollar Tree. Now you can use a smaller clear scalloped container that's square as well. We'll need one of these silver bowls from the Dollar Tree, and we will also need one of these plaques from the Dollar Tree. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and grab your bowl. We're going to take it out and give it a couple of coats of some flat black spray paint. I'm going to do this on the inside and out. And we're also going to take the clear bowl and we're going to give it 3 layers of frosted glass spray paint by Rust-Oleum. So while those are drying, go ahead and grab your plaque and grab your centerpiece for your pole. Now, you can also use the center of a Dollar Tree plunger. You'll just have to cut the ends flat. But what I decided to do is I decided to use the center roll of a roll of plastic wrap. Now this is really thick and firm. It'll be perfect to support my project, and you can also use the center roll from a roll of cutting vinyl, and as you can see, the cutting vinyl roll is larger, but it's much thinner and less sturdy, so I think the plastic wrap cylinder will work perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our plaque and our pole piece, and I'm going to give them one coat of some black acrylic paint. Now on the wood plaque, all you really need is one coat. This apple barrel black paint covers really well, and you're just going to get the top and all of the sides until it's all covered. Now once you do that, you want to paint your pole piece as well with one coat. And here are both pieces, and just let them sit to dry. Now once they're all dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some loose tumbling tower blocks that I had, and I'm going to place some inside each end of my pole. Now what this will do is add a little bit more surface area, so your pole will be bonded to your surface, and it'll just give a little bit more to grab onto and make it more sturdy. So I'm just running some hot glue along the edges of those tumbling tower blocks and pressing them along the inside of the tube, and 3 will fit into each side. Now as you can see, there is more surface area here, and once you get 3 in there, just add some glue into the little cracks and crevices just to make sure those blocks are nice and secure on that end. Now once you do this end, you want to do that to the other end as well. You do want to make sure all your blocks are flush with the opening of your tube. So now that everything is nice and dry and ready to go, I'm going to grab some matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to give a coat to my wood plaque and also my pole piece. And here's everything covered, and just allow this to all completely dry. So here are my 2 pieces all dry, and my plastic scallop bowl that's nice and dry from the frosted effect. So we're going to start to assemble our lantern. I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue, and I'm going to first of all center that pole and trace it out with a pencil. Now we want that surface where the pole will be bonded to be a little rough, so I'm going in with my pencil and I'm kind of scribbling the area, and then also taking my utility knife and just kind of scoring the area back and forth so it's a little bit more rough, and that glue will have something to grab onto. So I'm first going to put a little thin layer of E6000 along the opening of one end of that tube. And then I'm going to follow up with a generous amount of my wood hot glue that I'm using, and I'm just going to press it in the center, adding a little bit of pressure, and then holding it for about 10 or 20 seconds until it's really nice and bonded. And as you can see, it is on there and isn't going anywhere. Now we're going to apply E6000 and hot glue to the very top of the pole as well, and then we're going to carefully and center and place our little scallop bowl on top until it's nice and bonded as well. And here is what everything looks like, all nice and assembled. So at the last minute, I decided to put one of those wood cross pieces in the center. Now, you would actually do this before you glued everything together, but my mind is always coming up with ideas while I'm working. So I'm just going to add this in. So to add it to the pole, I'm just going to choose a place to put it, and then I am just going to drill straight through the pole, right across, making a hole big enough for a dowel. Now I'm using a 3/8 inch dowel that I got from Walmart for about 67 cents, but you can use dowels from the Dollar Tree that are a little smaller as well. So I just cleaned up the holes that I drilled, and I'm going to put my dowel in there and then secure it in place by running hot glue around the opening on each side. So now that this is secure, we're going to accent the ends of the dowel, and I have two 20mm wood beads, and I get them in a large pack from Amazon. So I'm just going to add one of those wood beads at each end, making sure you're bonding the whole side of the bead on each side, and I'm just using my wood hot glue for this, or you can use standard wood glue. And once it dries, just add some of your black acrylic paint and Mod Podge so everything blends together. And here is what everything looks like, all nice and dry. So I also decided to put dividers on my bowl. Now I wanted to leave this plain at first, but I thought it might look a little bit better if I put actual windows on there. So to use windows, I love to use the electrical tape from the Dollar Tree to do this. And you can also use the black vinyl that Dollar Tree sells for cutting machines and cut that into strips. But I'm using the electrical tape because I think it's easily accessible by everybody, and it just sticks very well for me. So I laid about 4 strips at the bottom, and what I'm going to do is I am actually going to cut these strips down with my utility knife at about 1/8 inch. So you can get about 3 or 4 out of 1 strip of tape. So I'm cutting multiple strips for the cross sections of my piece. And then I'm just going to even up one edge so it'll be easy to peel off my mat. Now I'm also going to be going ahead at the top and putting 4 more strips of tape, and these will be the divider pieces for each of the 4 sections. And then I'm just going to cut those down, cut 1/8 of an inch off of that because they were a little wide as is. So now we have our 4 pieces for our division, and we have our little strips for our cross pieces. So now we're just going to lay our strips out and divide them into 4 equal sections. So I'm taking the larger strips and I'm putting that first section down and then the second section down, and this will be the first section. Once you do this all the way around, you just want to make sure they're evenly spaced, and once you do that, you could go ahead and cut off all of those tails around the bowl. You also want to trim the tops as well, and here's everything all trimmed and ready to go. So now what I want to do is go around the bottom with the tape as is off the roll, and this will just kind of give it a base to the lantern light post. I want to do this all the way around and cover up those pieces. Now I'm going to end up going around this twice, but you can actually save this step for last if you like, but I'm going to go around twice and have 2 layers on my project. So now I'm taking those thinner 1/8 inch strips and 1/8 inch strips, and then I'm going to go in an X pattern in each one of the 4 sections that I made on my lamp post. Now you're going to do this all the way around till all the sections have their X in them, and you can go ahead and trim off all of the tails. Now this is where I take my tape and I go around one more time around the bottom. I'm just making sure all those ends are nice and secure, and I have a nice thick edge to define the bottom of my open lantern post. So now I'm flipping it upside down, and the bottom of the lantern is still white, and just to make it all blend in together, I'm painting that with black acrylic paint so it looks like a really solid black base. And once you paint that and let it dry, go ahead and add Mod Podge to that as well, just to make sure it blends in with the rest of the black on the lantern. And here's what we have so far. So now here is that bowl we spray painted outside. We gave it a couple of coats of black flat spray paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this topper to the top. Now I got these toppers in a 2-pack from Lowe's. They're about $2.98 for 2 of these. And I've already painted it black. I already had it on hand. So I'm just going ahead and adding it to the top of the bowl. And as you can see, it makes the perfect topper to make it look like a lantern. So I'm just adding a generous amount of my hot glue, press it firmly right on top of that bowl. And there you have it. You have a lid. Now there's no need to put any clips or ledges on the top. It sits very perfect on top of the opening of the bowl. So there you have it. You have a completed lantern piece. So now to light this, you can use a larger candle, battery operated. I got this one from Walmart on clearance. I love how the whole candle lights up. You can also use one of the LED candles at the Dollar Tree, and they have different sizes of these, or you can use some fairy lights or tap lights if you have them. Now you've seen this piece. I did this in a previous DIY and I made it removable just for projects like these. If you tie this on, it looks perfect. You can add a wreath or other greenery, but I thought this would make a great accent for this project. And here is the lantern all decked out and decorated, and I love how this turned out. Now this lantern stands over 2 feet tall, and you can actually use this for a standalone space for ambient lighting. Now I'm so glad I decided to place the iron look dividers and decorations on this lantern as well. Now I did use a larger candle in this one, but you can use other types of battery lighting in it too. Now how about adding some fairy lights from the Dollar Tree? Now these give a really pretty bright light. Now I really do love this option too, and it's always so hard to choose which one that I love more. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments below. Now this project is a pair of winter sled decor pieces, and we're going to need 2 wood sled pieces from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to take one of the sleds, and I wanted to go ahead and paint this one. So I'm removing all those tags, and then I'm going to be painting it with some black acrylic paint. Now of course you guys can use any kind of paint that you want, but keeping with my theme, I'm going to paint this one black, and I like to paint the bottoms and the tops of the sled because either side can be seen in the finished project. Now here's my black sled all completely painted, and here it is. So you want to definitely allow this to completely dry and sit that right up there. Now for this second sled, I wanted to go ahead with a natural tone. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those tags and pieces as well. And to get that natural tone, I'm going to be using some Waverly Antique Wax to finish this one off. Now I am scraping the bottom of the barrel on this wax, but I'm trying to get every nook and cranny. So I'm using a long paintbrush just to get down to the bottom, and I'm going to start applying this wax all over the sled. Now it's important that when you start to apply this wax, you definitely want to wipe it off as you go, and just to reduce that waxy texture, and it'll help it dry a lot faster. So here it is all covered, and I'm going in with a paper towel just to remove all of that excess wax. And now set this up with your black sled and let them both completely dry. And here are both of my sleds. They're nice and dry. And now we're just going to add the strings back at the top. Now this is optional. You don't have to add them back, but if you wanted to hang these, you definitely want to hang those, add the strings back at the top. And here I have it. I have both strings at the top, so I can now hang my pieces. Now, instead of making new greenery decor pieces, why not use the pieces you created for your snowflakes? So this is what I was telling you guys about. Totally interchangeable pieces makes things so easy. And as you can see, these pieces look awesome on the sleds as well. So I'm so happy that I could create these and also create DIYs that you can use for multi-purpose, and you could share the different pieces throughout all of these projects. And there you have it, such a super fast and easy DIY using items that have a multi-purpose. Now, I think that these turned out great with that color update, and the greenery just adds that final little touch. This project is a Kirkland inspired lantern. Now here is my inspiration photo for this project. Now I thought that this snowflake lantern was great for winter decor, and it would just blend in perfectly with my neutral themed DIYs. So I decided to create my own version, and with just a few dollars, I used some supplies from the Dollar Tree to make it all come to life. Now we're going to be needing some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree and some wood snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to start off working with our tumbling tower blocks, and make sure you grab your ruler as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with grabbing 8 blocks. Now I want to lay these out in kind of a square form as shown here. You just want to make sure that all of the edges are even. Now I'm going to be making 4 sets of these 8 block sets to resemble these squares. Now I'm going to be using some wood hot glue for this, but definitely you could use some regular wood glue to put these together as well. Now whatever glue you choose to use, you just want to make sure that it is completely bonded and cured, and make sure that the item sits and solidifies before handling. Now once you add your last bit of glue there, you just want to make sure everything is pressed and in place. Remove any hot glue from the seams, and here is what one looks like. And we're going to repeat this until we have a total of 4. So now that all 4 are made, we can start to assemble our lantern. So I'm going to take one of the pieces and I'm going to sit it up on its side, and then I'm going to add the second piece into that corner. I'm just going to add a line of that glue and press it right along the side of that upright piece. And then we're going to take another piece and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, just pressing it against there and aligning it in place. Now once those 2 are bonded, all we have to do is close in our square, adding 2 more lines of your glue, and then adding that final piece right on top. Just make sure those edges are nice, even, and flush. And so now we have our base square for our lantern, and here's what it looks like. So now we're going to grab our blocks again, and we're going to make the top and bottom. So we want to grab 7 blocks, and we're going to make 6 of these 7 block sets. Now how we're going to be joining these is side to side. So I'm just applying the glue along the side and pressing it in place. And I like to flip my blocks as I go. I just find that it makes it more even. So once you have your first 7 block set, just repeat it until you have a total of 6. So now you're going to take 3 of those 6 sets, and we're going to bond those together to make one solid platform. And all you're going to do is just glue each set together side by side. So here's one all glued together, and just repeat that for the second one until you have your 2 complete platforms. So now what we're going to do is we are going to start working on the top of our lantern. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, you just want to lay your lantern on top of the piece that's your top. Now I'm grabbing 4 more blocks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue 1 block on the inside of the frame, connecting it just to the lid portion, so it'll form like a lip, so the lid will not slide off your lantern. So I'm going to do the top and bottom first, making sure there's a little bit of give there, and then we're going to add 1 on each side as shown here until all 4 sides are in there. So here it is. This is what it looks like. So when you remove your frame, you see it sits right on top. It doesn't slide out of place, and it fits snug on top, so it's nice and removable. So for the top of the lid, what we're going to do is add an accent. So I'm grabbing 4 more blocks, and I'm going to glue 2 blocks together, and I'm going to do this for 2 sets. Then I'm going to take those 2 sets and I'm going to stack one on top of the other and glue them together to make a solid 4 block set for the top of my lid. Now this will be added to the center of the top of the lid when we're done. Now I am going to be using some of the smaller binder rings from the Dollar Tree, so I'm going to use one binder ring, and I have a 20mm wood bead here that I had on hand, and I'm just going to feed that little binder ring inside. But before I do, I'm putting a little bit of hot glue inside of the holes in the bead and then feeding each end of the binder ring through those holes and wiping away that glue, and this looks like the perfect little accent topper for our lantern. Now, in order for that bead to sit nice and flat, I am sanding the bottom of it a little bit so it's flat and it's easier to adhere to our blocks. Now we're going to be adhering this to the top of that 4-block set. So I'm going to add a generous amount of that hot glue to that flat portion of the bead that we just sanded. And then we're going to center this right in the middle of that 4-block set that we just made. Now you have some time there to work with it and make sure it's adjusted and nice and centered. And now we're just going to add hot glue to the bottom of the 4-block set and then center it on top of the lid for our lantern. And here is what the completed lid portion will look like. So now all we have to do is add the bottom of the lantern, and we're just going to be gluing the frame to the other block set that we made. So add a generous amount of hot glue around the bottom of the lantern and carefully center it on the bottom of that platform. And here is what it looks like. The bottom is nice and adhered and everything is nice and even. So now once you sit your lid right on top, you'll see you'll have one solid lantern piece. So now all of our main pieces are together. We can go ahead and paint them, and go ahead and grab 4 of those snowflakes out of the package because we'll be painting them with some black acrylic paint. Now we're going to go ahead and start painting everything. We want to make sure that we paint everything on the front and the back. So here are all of our snowflakes painted, and now we're going to paint our lantern, and here is everything here, and allow it to completely dry. So now that everything is dry, we could just start adding our snowflakes to the windows of our lantern so it looks like our inspiration piece. Now I'm using a low temp hot glue on this because I plan on removing these snowflakes down in the future just to make sure that this is reusable. But if you want them to be permanent, use high temp hot glue. Now once you add all your snowflakes around the lantern, here is what it looks like, and I'm loving the look. Just add your lid on top and you have your completed lantern. Now you can add a little greenery and pine accent to the top to resemble your inspiration piece as well. And to light your lantern, there's several options. You can use one of these LED candles from the Dollar Tree. You can also use 4 of these votive tea light style candles inside to light it up, or you can even use a Dollar Tree fairy lights. And here is my lantern with all the candles inside, and I love how it turned out. Now this piece is so super sturdy, and that's one of the best things about this design. Now all of the little accents like the topper and the snowflakes really give it a higher end look, which make it closely resemble that inspiration piece. Now even though I love the little tea lights inside, you can also add the LED candle and add some greenery on top too, as shown here. Now it's so amazing what some of these little touches can do to make your items look so professional. I really do hope you all give this design a try. Now this project is a set of winter trees. Now I'm going to be using 2 of these winter glitter trees from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to go ahead and start by removing all of the tags from the trees. Now I am not a big fan of glitter, so I am going to paint these in a couple of coats of flat white spray paint to see how it turns out. And here they are. They turned out better than expected. I am so glad I didn't pass on the glitter trees. So to glam these up a little further and blend into my decor, I took 2 pieces of burlap with a small square inside of a larger square, and this is just some scrap that I had on hand, and I'm going to bundle up the bottom as if it's a little sack. And then I'm going to take a piece of jute twine and I'm going to tie it around the base a couple of times, and then I'm going to trim off those tails. Now, if your little flaps are a little big, I'm just going to trim them down just so it makes it aesthetically pleasing for your decor. And there you go. It is so easy to do. Here is one of the trees all nice and bundled up. So now I'm going to take more of that black and white ribbon and I'm going to cut a piece long enough to wrap around the tree, but it is a little thick. So what I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to run hot glue down the edge and then fold it in half so it's just a little bit thinner. And once you have your thin ribbon, I'm just going to wrap it around the base, trim it down, and then hot glue it around the tree. So I'm going to take that same ribbon and I'm going to tie just the tiniest little bow just to decorate the bottom of the tree. So once I get the nice size, I'm just going to cut it down, and you don't never want to leave any of those raw edges on your little bow. So go ahead and take a lighter, and especially if you're dealing with grosgrain ribbon, go ahead and burn those edges, and then you can go ahead and add hot glue and stick it right in the center at the bottom. And now all you have to do is repeat this for your second tree. And now here are both of your beautiful trees all completed. And here they are. Now this is such a super and simple, easy update to the glitter trees from Dollar Tree. Now these trees took the paint so well, and I'm so happy about the way that they turned out. And the little burlap pieces add that rustic, natural touch that make these feel so organic. And now you can take all of your glitter trees and make them fabulous as well. Now this project is a pair of modern style pine trees. Now we're going to need 2 mason jar lids. We're also going to need some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some of these long, thick skewers from the Dollar Tree. Now, if you cannot find these at your Dollar Tree, they have these also at Walmart. Just check the camping section and you'll notice they're only 88 cents at this location. Okay, we're going to start our project. I'm going to grab some mason jar lids, and these are wide mouth of mason jar lids, and we're going to hot glue that insert in the lids to the top of the screw part of the lid. We want to make sure this is nice and secure on the inside, and then I'm going to go around again with my hot glue gun just to make sure that stays nice and secure in place. And then we're going to go ahead and do this for the second one until both of them are completed. And now we're going to go ahead and grab those bamboo skewers. So I'm just going to grab a handful of them out of the package, and we're going to start cutting them down to size to make our trees. Now I'm going to grab a skewer and I'm trying to determine how long I want my 2 trees. So I'm going to start off with my shorter tree, and I went ahead and chose 8 inches for the cut length of this skewer. Now again, I'm going to be using my pet claw clips that I got from the Dollar Tree to cut these. I just find this makes it so easy to cut the skewers, and it doesn't crush them when you cut them like wire cutters. So that's what I'm going to use for this project. So now that I have one cut, I'm going to cut a total of 8 of these little bamboo skewers for my project. Now to start assembling the tree, I'm going to put 2 dots of hot glue on opposite sides of the lid and grab 2 of those wood bamboo pieces, and then I'm going to place it in that glue and then join it at the top with a dot of hot glue. Now you do want to hold this in place for about 10 or 15 seconds until that glue starts to solidify. And now we're going to do that on the opposite sides to make a T formation. First adding your glue and then adding your skewers, and then dots at the top just to make sure they all stay in place. Now once that glue dries, we're going to add a skewer in between each one of these skewers for a total of 4 additional skewers. And here is what they will look like when they're all glued together. And now we're going to grab our other mason jar lid. Now I wanted this tree to just be a little taller than the first one for a little bit of dimension, and I decided to cut these at about 11.5 inches. And once I cut this first one off, that will be used as my template, and I'm going to cut a total of 8 of these, and you can see how much larger this tree will be compared to the first one. So now that we have 8 of our little pieces, our wood pieces, all cut, we can start bonding them together, and we're just going to do this the same way as we did for that first tree. And here are both trees all nice and assembled, and the glue has dried. So what I'm doing now is taking a piece of sandpaper and I'm sanding the top of the tree where the top is nice and even. You want that surface to be nice and flat for a nice finished look at the top. Now we're going to do this for both of the trees until they're nice and even. And as you can see, both of them are even and good to go. Now we're going to set those to the side and we're going to start working on our tumbling tower blocks. So go ahead and grab those and grab a straight edge or carpenter square from the Dollar Tree. Now the first set of blocks we're going to join together, we're going to grab out 4 blocks to form this 4-block solid block. So what I'm going to do is first of all just start by gluing together 2 of the blocks in 2 sets. And then once those 2 sets are nice and glued together, I'm just going to stack one on top of the other, hot gluing those together to make one 4-piece solid block base for my tree. Now I'm going to do this for a total of 2, so I can have 2 complete sets. Now the next set of blocks I'll be working on is 6 total blocks, and this will be the platform for my trees. So I am going to be joining these together side by side. You want to make sure you do wipe away that hot glue and flip your blocks as you go to make this the most even bonding platform. Now here is 6 blocks all joined together, and we're going to do a total of 2 of these. So now that all my pieces are done, we're going to take our tree bases and we are going to put them in the center of that 6-block set. Now to join this, I'm using my wood hot glue, but you could definitely use wood glue or other stronger adhesive if you like. You just want to make sure you center that 4-block set in the center of your 6-block platform for your tree. And here is what one looks like. Just repeat it for your second one until you have your 2 tree bases. So now we can add our trees here, and again you can use your wood hot glue or you can use a stronger glue like E6000 or Gorilla Glue. It's all up to you, and you just want to adhere it to the center of the bottom of that mason jar lid to be the base, and this is what it looks like. And once you repeat it for the other one, you have your 2 trees all assembled. So now what I want to do is take it outside and give it a couple of coats of flat black spray paint just to give it that nice finished look. And here are my 2 trees with that paint on them. They turned out perfect. I love how the flat black looks on these 2 trees. And now all you have to do is decorate, and this is totally optional. You can use fairy lights from the Dollar Tree. You can also stuff one of the trees with greenery by sticking it in between those skewers inside, or you can even add ribbon or other embellishments. It's really all up to you. And here are my 2 trees on display, and I just love the sleek modern look of these. Now using the thicker bamboo skewers really makes this piece super sturdy, and it's much less expensive option than wood dowels. Now you can also accent the base with trimmings as well if you like. Now even though these look really stylish as is, there are several ways that you can actually decorate this. Now you can take snippets of pine greenery and you can fill it in for a different look. Now this option brings a touch of greenery that really looks great in a winter landscape. Now I really love this look, but you can also brighten up your tree as well. And to do this, you can add some Dollar Tree fairy lights. Now I really love this look. Now all I did was wrap one set around this tree, but you could also add them inside the tree as well. Now I really love this look of the lights, and it would be great nestled with the deer that I made last week. Now you all have to let me know what you think about this project in the comments below. I really hope that you all are enjoying these crafts so far, but I wanted to pop in really quick and let you all know that you could follow me on all of these platforms as She So CraftDee. So now let's jump right into that next DIY. Now this project are reversible snowflakes. Now we're going to need 2 of these MDF snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some black and white check vinyl from the Dollar Tree, or you can use scrapbook paper for this project. Okay, so what we're going to do is first grab a snowflake. I'm going to grab the busiest looking snowflake, and I'm going to start with that one first. Now what I'm going to do is, first of all, you definitely want to remove the tag, and you can set that to the side to use that later. Now for this one, I am going to paint the entire snowflake in white acrylic paint, and you want to make sure that you give this at least 2 coats because this MDF does absorb the paint pretty quickly. And also make sure you get the sides of the snowflake because that will be showing in your final project. And here's my snowflake all nice and painted on the front and the sides, and the back is unfinished. We will be adding vinyl to that later, but for now, let that sit to completely dry. Now we're going to start working on our second snowflake. Remove those tags, and we will be adding black acrylic paint, and we're going to do this for both sides of this snowflake. And here it is all painted both sides, and you want to let that completely dry as well. Now here are both of my snowflakes ready to craft with, so we're going to go ahead and start with the white one. Now we're going to flip it over. This is the side we're going to be adding our vinyl to. So I'm just going to be grabbing my Dollar Tree vinyl, or of course you can use any kind of scrapbook paper that you like for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my roll and sit my snowflake on top, and I'm just going to cut a piece that will fit the size of my vinyl, and you can just cut this off that piece with a pair of scissors, or you can use an X-Acto knife. Now once you figure out how to lay your snowflake on your vinyl, which way, however you want that checkered design to go, just go ahead and peel back the backing to reveal the adhesive, laying it pretty side down, and then you want to lay down your snowflake right on top of it. Now to trim this off, you can definitely use a utility knife, but I'm going to be using a X-Acto knife because it has a precise cut and it's easy just to quickly cut around all these pieces. I find this so relaxing to do, and I'm just going to cut around it. The vinyl is super easy to cut away. So here is a portion already cut away. You can see the progress going. It's really easy. So we're just going to continue to work our way around till all of the edges are trimmed here. Now for all the inserts, I just like to poke a hole right there through it, and then I like to trim this from the front and follow the outline of the snowflake. You can usually feel it right through until that's all cut out, and here is what your final snowflake will look like. Now set that to the side. We're going to grab our black snowflake. So the accent to this piece, we'll be using an acrylic paint pen. Now the Dollar Tree has their version of these as well, but this one here is from Amazon, and I'll link it in the description box below. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to go around the edges, making ticking marks with my acrylic paint pen. Here's the progress so far, but the final look is here. I absolutely love how the ticking marks showed up on this snowflake. And the other side, we are going to leave plain. Now, finally, we can add our hanger back in there. You can use the hanger that originally came off of it, or you can cut a piece out of jute twine and tie it up top. And you want to do this for both of your snowflakes so you'll be able to hang those. And here it is, all attached and ready to go. So now what I'm going to do is add some accents to the plain side of my snowflakes just to have an interchangeable look. So I'm grabbing 4 pieces of some pine greenery that I had, and I'm going to lay 2 side by side and glue them together. And then once those 2 pieces are glued together, I'm going to grab 2 more pieces and I'm going to lay them one on the top and one on the bottom. And you want to make sure that those are all adhered together and let them dry for a few minutes. And now that that's done, what I want to do is give it a little frosted effect. So I grabbed some miniature pine cones as well that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using some white acrylic paint to give it that snow frosted effect. All I'm going to do here is take a paintbrush and just have just the tiniest bit of paint on it, and I'm just going to dust those pine needles with that paintbrush just to give it a light, snowy, frosted effect. And here's my piece with all their snow frost on there, and you just want to allow this to dry, and then while that dries, just work on your pine cones. All you have to do is dust those the same way, just lightly dust that paint on there, and you want to do that for as many as you like, and then you want to allow everything to completely dry. Alright, so here are all of our pieces, and they are now ready to go. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take some ribbon. I love this ribbon. I got it from Amazon. You get this huge roll, really inexpensive. And what I'm going to do is just tie a double looped ribbon. I'm just going to wrap it around and then tie it into the bow. No worries, I will slow this down later so you guys can see this. But I just have a double looped bow here, and I'm just going to trim it down so it fits in the center of my greenery piece. And of course, I'm going to put little tails on the ends here just to make it look really nice and finished. And once it looks good, just go ahead and hot glue that to the center of your greenery piece. Now once that dries, here is what it looks like, and now you can add your little pine cone accents. Now I decided to add 2 pine cones in the center right beneath that bow. So to add these, I'm just going to be using my hot glue, and I'm just going to arrange these where they don't interfere with the bow but still are visible and it can be shown in the final project. And here's what the piece will look like when it's all done. Now, I wanted my piece to be in the center of my snowflake, but I didn't want to hot glue it on. I wanted it to be completely removable and interchangeable. So what I'm doing is taking some really thick jute twine. I'm going to add it to the back of the piece. So I'm running a few lines of that hot glue straight across the back, and then laying that jute twine right in the center of that piece. Now this will hold your greenery on your project. Now to add a little bit of reinforcement, I'm cutting a snippet of that ribbon that I had left over, and I'm going to hot glue that right in the center, and this is just to kind of reinforce it and make sure that jute twine stays in place. And once it dries, all you have to do is run the ends of the jute twine through the 2 sides of your snowflake through the back. And once they're through the back, you just flip it over and you can tie it. Now you can add this to either side of your snowflake. It's all up to you. And as you can see, it's nice and attached and it looks wonderful. Now for the white snowflake, I wanted to make a greenery bundle for that as well, but first I'm going to make the ribbon. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ribbon between my 2 fingers here as shown here, and I'm going to have about a 5 or 6 inch tail, and then with my pointing finger and thumb, I'm going around my thumb and around my finger, around my thumb, around my finger for as many loops as you want your bow to be. And then once you decide you get it looped around enough, cut a nice long tail. You're going to wrap that through and around the entire bundle, and then over and through the loop you just made, and just pull it really tight. Now once you do that, it does form a really tight bow. I just think that this is a really super easy way to make a bow. I thought it was so fun, and here it is. It's ready to go, and now you have a cute bow for your arrangement. And you can see it fits well on that snowflake. So I did make another one with 4 loops just to make it a little fuller, but you're going to use that same technique. And then I added some greenery in a bundle. So what I'm going to do is hot glue some of these bundles, berries from the Dollar Tree and some greenery, and I'm going to hot glue it all together and then trim that end off so it's nice and even and you won't see it through the bottom where the bow will be attached. So once everything is hot glued together the way you like it, now you can add your bow as that finishing touch to the bottom. I just wanted something a little different from the first bundle, just for a little bit of diversity in both of the pieces. And you could see that there will be a difference, so you know everything doesn't look exactly the same on the project, but still looks cute together. And once that's hot glued in place, you want to let it sit completely dry. And then once it is dry, we're going to go ahead and add the jute twine the same way we did for the first one, making sure we run it across the back and reinforce it with that strip of ribbon, just so we have this piece to be completely removable and interchangeable, just like the first one. And then we can add that to the white snowflake. So now you can choose to hang it up, and here is the black version with the ticking marks. Now this is definitely one of my favorite methods to use since it's so easy and it always turns out great. And the neutral decors will always blend into most decor as well. What do you think of this version? Now all you do is flip it over, add your greenery bundle, and you have an entirely different look. Just tie on your greenery of choice and you can make different bundles to change out with your mood. Now this is such an awesome way to get creative in your winter decor displays. Now on the back of the white snowflake is the buffalo check, and this is always a classic finish. Now this was so easy to apply the vinyl, and it cuts really easy with an X-Acto knife. Now this was a super fun design with a farmhouse touch that is always fun to add to your decor. Then with a quick flip, you can tie on your bundle and enjoy another fun version. Now you can always just display the plain sides of these as you prefer, but I'm always happy to share these decor options to maximize the use of these pieces in your space. Let me know which version of these snowflakes is your favorite style. Now this project is a set of wood Christmas trees. Now we're going to start with a pack of these wood trees from the Dollar General. Okay, so go ahead and remove all of your trees from the packaging, and we'll have 3 sets divided into 2 pieces each. Now I'm going to be painting my trees, so I'm going to start with the largest tree and I'm going to paint it with black acrylic paint. Now all you want to do is apply 1 coat of this acrylic paint on here. You really don't need to, because this paint does really cover very well. Now once we cover both of the fronts of the trees, we're going to do the backs as well, and make sure you get around those edges. Now the next set of trees we are going to work on are the middle size tree. Now for this tree I'm going to be using some Waverly Antique Wax, or you can use stain or diluted brown acrylic paint to do this. Now I'm using a paintbrush to apply it. I'm getting right down to the bottom of that jar, and then once I apply it, you want to make sure you wipe off any excess wax with a cloth, and here is what both sides of the stained trees look like. Now for these final trees, I am going to be painting those as well, and I am going to be using some white acrylic paint for these. Now here they are, all nice and painted, and you just want to let these all sit to dry. So here are my trees all nice and dry, and we can start assembling them, and as you can see, they just slide perfectly together and snap into place. Now I wanted to add a little accent to my tree, so I'm taking some white acrylic paint and I'm going to draw some little dots all over. These can be twinkle light snowballs, however you choose to look at it, but I wanted to add this accent all over my black tree. And here are all the dots on that tree in different sizes. So the next tree I'm going to do is the middle sized tree. Just go ahead and put that together, and I'm going to use that same paint to make really smaller dots. And then for the final little tree, once I put that one together, I'm going to be adding dots to this one, but I will be using a different color, and I chose to use some black acrylic paint for this, and here are all the dots on that white tree. So now all you have to do is to lay all of your trees out and make sure they are thoroughly dry, and once they're dry, you can decorate with them. And here are all of the wood trees on display, and I think that they look so adorable. Now I'm really loving the neutral color combinations of these, but you can choose any color that your heart desires. Now I did sit the trees on a fluffy microfiber dust cloth for the base for a little winter accent too. Now of course you can add anything you like to jazz it up even more, like some fairy lights that I added to the base. Now what I did is I did place a strand of fairy lights from the Dollar Tree on the dust cloth, and I just love this little soft glow. Now you all have to let me know what other ideas you have for these wood trees in the comments. Now this project is a winter snowflake decor piece. We're going to need some of these medium sized snowflakes from the Dollar Tree, one of these box frame signs from the Dollar Tree. We're also going to need some of these thick 32-inch bamboo skewers from the Dollar Tree. Now, if you can't find these at the Dollar Tree, you can also get these from Walmart. Just take a look in their camping section, and they have these for 88 cents, and they're available year-round. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our snowflakes and we're going to remove 6 out of the package. You want to go ahead and trim off those little hangers, and we're going to end up painting these with some white chalk paint. You just want to dab some of that paint all over the surface of each one of those snowflakes, and then once you do that, you want to allow all of them to completely dry. So now we're going to work on the skewers. Now I grabbed 3 out of the package, but I only ended up using 2. Now if you don't have skewers or can't find them, you can also use the dowels from the Dollar Tree. They're a little larger, but they definitely will work for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ruler, and I'm going to be cutting down my skewers into different sizes. And the first size I wanted to cut is 5 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 sections at 5 inches. And then the next section I wanted to cut was about 7.5 inches. And I'm going to make 2 pieces at 7.5 inches as well. And then the last piece I'm going to cut is about 10 inches. Now I love to use my pet clippers from the Dollar Tree to cut these. It just cuts through like butter, no problem. So I'm just going to cut all my pieces apart from the skewers. So I have 2 5-inch, 2 7.5 inch, and 1 10-inch piece. Now all our pieces are cut. I'm going to go ahead and paint them, and I'm going to use my black acrylic paint for this. You just want to apply one nice coat on each one of those skewers, making sure you get the ends and let them dry. So now we can grab our little rectangular sign here, remove it from the packaging, and what we're going to do is we're going to be making holes in this for our skewers, but we first need to know where to place them. So I'm putting a dot in the middle, 2 dots on each end, and then a dot in between there. Just make sure all your dots are evenly spaced. And I'm going to take my drill and I'm just going to drill a hole that'll fit the size of my skewer. Now if you don't have a drill, you can nail a hole or use your X-Acto knife to kind of cut a hole in there as well to fit all of your skewers. So now that my holes are drilled, I'm going to turn it over, and I want to add a bead of hot glue along each one of the seams on this piece just to reinforce it just a little bit. And then once you do that, I'm going to give the entire piece 2 coats of some black acrylic paint. You want to make sure that it does dry in between your 2 coats. And here's the piece all nice and painted on the second coat, and let it completely dry. And here you have it, it's all done and dry. So I also decided to put the word winter on the front. Now these letters are wood and they are from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to paint these with some white acrylic paint, and I'm just going to add 2 coats of that acrylic paint on each one of the letters, and that would be perfect to put on the front of our display. And here they are, all nice and painted. So now that everything's dry, we're going to grab up all of our pieces for our project. So I'm going to take the block piece and I'm going to start adding the skewers. Now the 5-inch pieces will go on the 2 end holes, the 10-inch piece will go in the center, and the 2 7.5-inch pieces will go in the 2 remaining holes. Now even though these fit in the holes, they still will wobble, so we're going to make sure that we're going to secure that. So we're going to flip it over to the bottom, and we are going to take our hot glue. Now when we take our hot glue down there, we are going to put a heaping amount of hot glue around each one of those skewers right at the base. Be very generous with this. You want it to be nice and straight when the glue dries. So we're going to add one heaping amount on here. And when we do add this glue, we want to make sure that we flip it over and make sure everything is drying straight. So go ahead and make adjustments while the glue is warm. Once that first layer dries, add a second layer, and that will lock all of the skewers in place as shown here. And now you can decorate with your piece. So the first thing we're going to do is add the word winter at the bottom of our piece. So we're going to go ahead and spell out winter. We want to make sure everything is evenly spaced, and then we'll go ahead and we will hot glue all the letters down on the front. Now they will overlap the top edge, so make sure the bottom is nice and flush with the bottom edge of your wood piece. So here are all of our letters all nice in place, and now we can add our snowflakes. Now I'm going to add a snowflake to each skewer, adding hot glue at the center of the back of the skewer, and the top of that skewer will be actually on that center. And you just want to do this for all of your skewers at the very tip. So here are all of our snowflakes at the tips of each one of our skewers. Now we do have that one open space in the middle, so I'm taking the last snowflake and I am going to place it right in the center in the middle. And here's what our piece looks like. It looks great so far. Now you know that piece we made before, that would look great in the center as well. Okay, so the open area at the bottom, once your glue is nice and dry, I'm going to use some of this black foam. I get this long 5-foot sheet from Joann's with a coupon 50% off, and this is perfect for covering the bottom of your projects like this. So I cut a piece of the foam to fit the bottom of the opening. So I'm adding some hot glue around the bottom opening of the wood piece and sitting it right on top of that foam. And then once it dries, I'm going to go ahead and take my utility knife from Dollar Tree and trimming off all of the excess all the way around. This just makes it so clean and professional and hides all of your work underneath the bottom. And I think it just looks great when it's done. Now I think this does look great as is, but I'm going to go ahead and add another accent just to tie it into my other pieces. I tied a bunch of little small bows that I had on hand, and I'm just going to add a bow underneath each one of your snowflakes. Now if bows aren't your thing, you definitely don't have to add them to this project. It's definitely optional, but I'm just showing you this option in case you love to have bows on your project. And here is my winter decor piece on display, and I think this is super cute. I think that painting the snowflakes was such an easy update, and placing this on a mantle with fairy lights would look so awesome. Now I would love to know where in your home you would choose to display a piece like this. Now this project is a set of ceramic style pine cones. Now I'm going to need 2 of these pine cone decor pieces from the fall from the Dollar Tree. Now to make these pine cones, I'm first going to take them and give them a coat of this Zinsser 123 primer to turn them and give them a base coat of white. Now once that is all dry, what I'm going to do is grab 2 acrylic paints. I'm going to grab my nutmeg brown, and I'm also going to grab some black, and I'm just going to blend these together until I get a nice rich chocolate brown color for my pine cone. Now once you get the color that you desire, you just want to apply the coat of that brown paint all over your pine cone. Now I am using acrylic paints, but feel free to use any paint you like, spray paint, or whatever you might have on hand. I'm just using these acrylic paints because I have these on hand and it worked perfect for this project. Now here is one of my pine cones all nice and painted, and now you can paint your second one, and once that's done, allow them to completely dry. Now once they're dry, what I started to do is give it a nice frosted snow-tipped accent, and in order to achieve this is really easy. I took an old sanding brush and I'm adding some white acrylic paint to one of the sides. Now I like these sanding little brush foam pieces because they're really nice and and firm. So what I'm going to do is just tap this on the pine cone, and what it does is it's only going to highlight the raised areas of the pine cone, and it gives it a really unique look. I just love using this stamping effect in my DIYs, so I'm hoping that this will help some of you in some of your stamping projects as well. So once that's done, you want to let it completely dry. And here are my 2 pieces all nice and dry, and you could just go ahead and decorate with these. Now I really wanted to keep this simple and easy, so what I decided to do is add a couple of bows that I tied and also some snippets of greenery that I had on hand. Now I'm just going to take a couple pieces of greenery and I'm just going to glue them together right on top of each other, and I'm just adding a little dot of glue there and holding it until it bonds. And once I have 2 sets done, I'm going to take some little bows that I had already tied, and I'm just going to add a dot of hot glue on there to each one of those snippets of greenery bundles. And now I'm just going to add each one to the bottom of my pine cone. Again, this is definitely optional, but it just gives a little extra touch that adds into the neutral theme of these DIYs. And here are my 2 pine cones with the bundles applied, and I just really think they turned out cute. And so here they are, all on display and complete, and I think that they did turn out awesome. Now my stamping technique turned out perfect on these, and adding just that small touch of greenery in a bow completes the look. Now you can definitely do this with real pine cones, but since I had these on hand, I thought they would make the perfect easy project. I hope that you all give this technique a try in your projects. Now this project is a winter candle centerpiece. Now I'm going to start this project with 2 of these wood crates from the Dollar Tree. So for these wood crates, I am going to be staining them in some antique wax. Now I am going to be gluing them side to side. You can actually glue them together now, but I'm just going to go ahead and start staining them first. Now when you apply your wax, you definitely want to make sure you wipe it away after you cover the surface so you don't have a waxy feel when it's done. And I'm going to complete the wax, adding 3 of the sides, leaving 1 unstained and the bottom unstained. I did decide at the last minute I wanted to add feet to this, so I left the bottom unstained for that purpose. Now when I do stain the bottom, I am going to stain it to where I leave all 4 corners unstained, because that's where the glue will be added for the beads, and you don't want that stain to get in the way. And I'm going to do that for both of the containers. So now we can glue them together. So I'm just going to add a generous amount of my wood stick hot glue on the side of the container and then press them together firmly. Now when you press them together, you want to make sure that the lines add up on each side. I know some of these containers can be wonky sometimes, so you do want to make sure that they're all lined up and touch up any of the wax that may not have been covered. And now we can go in and add our beads. I'm just going to add that wood glue to the corner of each one of those unstained corners and add one of those beads. Now these are 16mm beads. I got them from Amazon, but I'll put the link in the description box below. And once the glue dries on all of your beads, go ahead and touch up the stain around the bead and that bare area. Wipe it away with a cloth, and this is what your container will look like. So just allow it to dry. Now while that's drying, we can start working on our platform for our candle. So I am going to take some of these larger craft sticks. I got these from Lowe's in packs for 98 cents. I'm going to go ahead and stain both sides. Now I'm going to lay one of the craft sticks down, and I'm going to mark the edges of the top of the box with a pencil. And then I'm going to cut this one out to the shape. Now once you test the fit, we're going to copy this 2 more times so we have a total of 3 pieces. Now we're going to lay one in the middle and one on each side, and we are going to be hot gluing this in place. So go ahead and first run a bead of hot glue down the center seam, and then we're going to add one of those sticks on each side. And this platform should be large enough to hold all of your battery operated candles on the top. Okay, so now that our box has had the time to dry, we can start decorating with it. So I'm going to be using some lamb's ear, some eucalyptus, some pine pieces, and I'm also going to be using some berries. I also have some blocks. I joined 9 blocks together for a platform for my candles on each side, and I have 2 pieces of styrofoam that I'm going to stick in there so I can fit everything nice and cozy in there. Now I did put my 2 candles on each end. You can see how I stuck them in there. And now I'm going to start decorating around my LED candles, first putting that lamb's ear in there and then adding some pine on the side. And then I'm going to follow up with a few pieces of some eucalyptus. Now you can go in any order that you like. I'm just adding this really randomly and just trying to make it aesthetically pleasing. You just add them however you like. I just thought that these colors had a wintry vibe. I thought they were really pretty and really cute. Now the final things I'm going to add to my bunch are these berry clusters from the Dollar Tree. I think they give the perfect final touch to my project. And then once all your greenery is added, add that center candle in the middle, and there you have it. You have a triple Decor candle holder. So to tie it in, I am going to be using some more of that black and white ribbon. I'm going to wrap it around the entire box, and then I'm going to glue the ends together on the front. Not gluing it to the box, but just gluing the edges of the ribbon together. And then I'm going to take more of that ribbon, and what I want to do is just go ahead and make a ribbon with 3 loops on each side, and this will be on the front of the box. You don't have to put a bow on the front of the box. I just decided to do it. I thought it would be a really cute accent, and once you have your bow done, you can go ahead and make sure you light those edges so they're nice and sealed. And then I'm going to hot glue this bow on the front of the box on top of that ribbon that we just placed on there. And you just want to allow that to dry, and then your piece is ready to go. So here is what your arrangement will look like. You have your ribbon bow on there, you have all your beautiful greenery, and it's kind of reversible. You can turn it around to the back as well, and this will showcase that lamb's ear a little better. It's all up to you how you want to display this in your space. And there you have it, a super easy centerpiece for a winter display. Now I love this combination, and I hope that you love it too. Now you guys, I really had fun creating these projects for you today, and I really do hope that they have inspired you. Now as always, I do really love them all, but let me know in the comments below which one of these projects was your favorite today. Listen, I hope that you all enjoyed seeing these creations again, or for some of you for the very first time. If you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She So CraftDee on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Now don't forget to make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She So CraftDee logo on your screen and hit that bell so you'll be the first to know when I release new content. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.